Through the fog it creeps. Written by Richard Jordan. Link to other adaptation in the description below. Watch at your own risk. The yards had grown silent. Not a sound was uttered by anyone. Work progressed as usual, but even the most mischievous trucks were now resigned. Everyone, it seemed, was in a state of perpetual shock after what happened up on the quarry line. No one ever thought a single truck could have gone that bad, effecting that kind of destruction. Everyone was worried about Percy, who, through foul play, had been made the evil truck's agent of destruction, careening into an unassuming cottage and rendering the lives of those inside lost. It was a lot for the little engine to bear, and though he tried to rid himself of his demons, they remained planted firmly in his mind. It was a long time before the inspector deemed Percy fit for service again. When Percy did return, he was placed on light duties far away from the quarry. Another engine was to be with Percy at all times, which, as time went on, made Percy very dependent and afraid of separation. One night, Percy and Thomas were working together at the junction, tidying up the last of the day's shunting. The moon was rising overhead. "Nearly there, Percy," Thomas smiled. "We've been working hard. We're sure to sleep well tonight." Percy gave Thomas a knowing look. Thomas was ashamed. He knew that nighttime was the hardest time for Percy, when he didn't have work to distract him from his intrusive thoughts. "I'll just finish this last line," Thomas said. A fog had started to settle, which made it hard to see. Soon Thomas was out of sight, and Percy began to feel afraid. "Thomas?" he said meekly, but there was no reply. He pulled forward among the long line of wagons, but there was no sign of his friend. At once, it felt like the trucks were closing in on him from either side. The sky became blacker than black, and the fog suffocated him. He looked back and couldn't see his driver and fireman. He felt alone, completely alone. Then, in the distance, he saw an eerie outline forming. To Percy, it looked like a truck. But not just any truck, but the evil truck. The ghostly shape began to roll forward towards Percy, creaking and clanking as if it had been cobbled back together from the scrap it had been turned into. Percy was petrified. As the truck came closer, Percy saw that its face was twisted and contorted into a gruesome shape, and where its eyes should have been were deep black voids. Percy shut his eyes, shaken with fear. "Go away!" Percy cried. "Go away!" But the evil truck continued rolling towards him, with its face of immense pain seeming to engulf the little green engine, and the air became still as if all life had been stopped, and all Percy could hear was muffled screams. His screams. "Percy!" bellowed a familiar voice. Percy opened his eyes, and through the fog came Thomas, with his lamplight dissolving the image of the evil truck like a whiff of smoke. All Percy could do was cry. Thomas realized what happened and apologized profusely. "I'm sorry, Percy. I did leave you alone but for a few seconds. We're all done. We can go home now." It took a long time to console the poor engine. Thomas tucked Percy away in his stall and spoke to Toby for a long time. "Percy saw him again, didn't he?" Toby said grimly. "Yes," replied Thomas. "It's getting worse. I don't know what to do." No one did. One day, Percy would have to face his demons head on, but he hoped it wouldn't be in quite the same way as it had happened that night.